Excelsior! This is part 3 of the Nordens Ark Zoo tour. You should watch part 1 or part 2 first, or not, I won't force you. And we are moving away from the wildcat and habitat, but at this point I actually got a little bit lost. Took a while to find where I was supposed to go. I saw some signs later that helped me. This actually takes you back to that resting place you saw earlier. So, because you've kind of done a little bit of a circle here when you went to look at the wildcats and the wildebeest. But after a little bit of where now, I found the path. Yes. And this is the path to the wetland section of the zoo. And we saw it actually already from the elevated path earlier. This is where we will see the cranes and the storks pretty soon. But first there was some walking to do. Yeah, I ran into a sign where they said that they are actually now planting hazelnut, cherry and lime here to ensure the biodiversity in the area. So yeah, and well, this is when we come to the wetland proper, and we will actually soon start running into some birds here. Yeah, so this section I kinda sorta liked and also kinda sorta didn't like. I mean, it was pretty large, a lot of marsh, and of course it's the kind of place you'd expect these birds, such as this white-naped crane, which is a type of crane from Asia, from China, Korea, Japan, and the Russian Far East and Mongolia. We will also see the white stork very soon. Yes, here we have some stork. And as you can see, the reason they can't fly away is of course their wings are clipped, and that's the kind of negative part of this. You can't have birds that can fly on open display like this unless you clip their wings. Otherwise, you need to have some kind of aviary, and of course an aviary gives them opportunity to fly, but aviaries usually aren't this big, so it's a trade-off. So you give them more territory, but at the same time you rob them their flight. Yeah. And these are red-crowned cranes, by the way. A red-crowned crane is another crane from Asia, from Japan, China, Korea, a little bit of the Russian Far East. So kind of the same area as the white-naped crane. But here we are approaching these buildings. As you can see, these are the so-called turtle and amphibian buildings. We of course visit both. But before that we will actually reach at the yard of the turtle building, because there was a few small habitats for smaller animals there. But yeah. The whole thing with clipping bird wings, it never sat very well with me, but I understand why. I understand why. Then you can give them a larger area. Because you don't need to build an aviary. Okay, this habitat was for a Hermann's tortoise. I didn't see it the first time I checked it, but then I, of course, checked it again a little later, and then I absolutely saw the little tortoise. So the Hermann's tortoise is from southern Europe, from Greece and neighboring countries. It's a very, very cute little tortoise. And then we will now on, I think, to the next little habitat, which is for the European pond turtle. And as the name says, it's a wetland turtle from Europe, Central Europe. And I didn't really get that much more footage of them. They were kind of just sitting there. This isn't their habitat yet. Then there were two other outdoor habitats, but I didn't spot the animals in them. This first one is for a green toad, and couldn't find any green toad. And was hiding somewhere, a small animal where easily hide somewhere where you just can't see it. The same for the next animal, which was the habitat for the adder. The adder is the only venomous snake of northern Europe. Usually you don't want to see an adder. The one time I hoped to see an adder to get some footage from it here at Nordens Ark, it just didn't want to show. So we'll just have to move on from this. And that is entering the building. So this building had just a lot of turtles and tortoises. It was a lot of them. I didn't see everything because all of them I just couldn't spot. They had these large tanks too, and a lot of fish were here sharing their habitat with the turtles and tortoises. It actually took me a while before I actually started to spot anything in these tanks, but I did. Yeah, I think this might be a turtle back there, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll soon have absolutely 100% confirmed turtle footage. This was actually a window into the hatchery where they hatch turtles and amphibians. So yeah, a little peek behind the scenes, and here was another big tank where I also at first couldn't spot anything. Oh, except the fish. There was a lot of fish in the tanks. We will soon move on from things I can't spot to things I absolutely did spot. So in this tank, I think we will soon see the big-nosed turtle. Yeah. It's a turtle from... I don't remember, was it that one or from New Guinea maybe? I think it was from New Guinea now that I think about it, yeah. But here we are going to see Asian forest tortoises. These are one of the largest tortoises of Asia. Yeah, they are pretty large. And I think we will move on to this, to a tank. I couldn't spot anything in at this point. Yeah. That thing I never saw. We will now on again to another tank where I did see a green little thing, and that's of course a Vietnamese pond turtle. It was supposed to share its tank with another turtle. I didn't see the other one. But then we find a snake-headed turtle. Well, a snake-necked turtle. It says long-necked. A Roti Island snake-necked turtle, which was here in a tank. And moving on to a big-headed turtle. Yeah, I guess their head is big. That's their thing. And then we are going to the last of the turtles I spotted, which was actually back at one of the tanks. I hadn't spotted anything when I came in, and now I saw a black pond turtle swimming around there. They are from India, and they are known also for their heads, which has these yellow spots on it. You will think I will see it, you think it should turn around here. Yeah, and you can see that their head has yellow spots. You can barely see it, but it has. So that was the turtle building, and it was time to move on. And of course, the next building we are soon going to enter is called the amphibian building, and it will not only have amphibian, but it will have amphibians. And you actually have to go up on a ramp to enter the building from upstairs, because yeah. However, the camera was the sun and the camera again couldn't agree, so I'm already inside the building. This was a large enclosure. It was supposed to be an iguana and a frog. You probably already saw the iguana, but I couldn't find the frog, and I actually hadn't realized I had seen the iguana at this point, because I turned around and here I absolutely saw it, the Lesser Antillean iguana. And the frog I couldn't spot, but the iguana was resting up there on a little cliff. And there were some habitats for salamander. I couldn't spot any of the salamanders. This habitat is supposed to have a salamander, and I couldn't see it. And next habitat also is supposed to have a salamander. It comes up here soon. Yeah, another habitat for a salamander I couldn't spot, and then I'm pretty sure we are going to see another habitat where I couldn't see the animal next, which was an animal. This was a habitat for a tarantula. Yeah. Yeah, no, that one also I couldn't find. They were hiding. Small animals can hide so easily. So, we're ignoring that window for now. We are going to look out from it very soon, but not yet. There is still a habitat to check. At first I couldn't find. It was supposed to have a leaf frog in it and a poison dart frog. The leaf frog is green, so it could hide very easily. However, we are soon going to have some footage here of this strawberry poison dart frog, which is of course a poisonous frog used for poison darts, and being a red it couldn't hide as easily, so I ended up spotting it and got some footage from it. And then of course the window. The window, you actually look out into an aviary on the outside where they have northern bald ibises. The northern bald ibis was once a common bird all over the Middle East, North Africa and Europe, and today they only exist in Morocco. So from being a very common bird, they are now a increasingly rare bird. So I am here then walking towards the ibis aviary, but I will of course still have some stork footage here, because you could see the stork habitat from here pretty well. So yeah, some stork footage. But back to the ibises. Yeah. So the northern bald ibis is a little bit of a tragic story, considering it was all over the place in the past. I mean, the Egyptian had an ibis god, or that could have been a sacred ibis. But I'm pretty sure the northern bald ibis was in Egypt too. And there is definitely many proof and even stories what people remember seeing ibises all over southern Europe, and now only left in Morocco. And here we have another ancient animal from us. I'm kidding. I'm pretty sure they could have entered it and there would have been animal sounds you could listen to there, but I didn't. I wanted to see more animals, and I ended up at first not seeing more animals, because this I think is the forest reindeer enclosure, and once again the forest reindeers were not in their habitat, meaning they were off exhibit today for some reason, which is the second day in a row I didn't see forest reindeer because they were off exhibit. I don't know what's going on there. And then we come to the Vicent habitat for Vicents, as in the European bison. It's a very large habitat, and I couldn't spot any Vicents here, and I'm pretty sure that this habitat is so big they could just have been in a part of it that is not viewable from the park. Yeah, so no reindeer, no Vicents. Someday I want to talk about the forest reindeer, but that's not today because I couldn't see them. So it's just moving on then. Yeah, this is, I think, still forest reindeer habitat, which is empty. And more Vicent habitat, which is also empty. It was really big, and it continued far away from your eyesight, so I just think they were hanging out in a different part of the habitat that you just couldn't see. But the reindeers were definitely off exhibit. That's the you could see their whole habitat fine, and even there they are larger than us. They can't really hide like that. So it was only to move on. And then there was another habitat for a palace cat, and just like in the first palace cat habitat, couldn't spot the cat. So couldn't do anything else than moving on from that. And we'll soon come up on another habitat, which I at first couldn't spot the animal. But even if I didn't spot it at first, there was another visitor there that I realized was looking at something. With that I figured out where the animal was hiding. So in this enclosure you have a small bird, the Cabot's tragopan, which is a pheasant from China. And it was hiding up in its box. So, moving on from the tragopan habitat, and we are actually coming up on a large habitat now. And immediately there was an animal greeting us. This is a dhole. A dhole is a good dog. A good dhole is a canine from Asia. It's spread all over the place, all the way from Southeast Asia up to the Russian Far East, Mongolia, North Korea, northern China, that kind of area. It's threatened all over its habitat. It's so very happy to see a large dhole habitat here. And then we saw another dhole, and these are social animals. They live in packs. You can have many of them in the same habitat in a zoo. Or you should have, because they want the company. And yeah, still the dhole habitat, and we'll soon see even more dholes here, because they really didn't want to hide. They were out there saying hi. Such good dogs. That's when we are finally moving on from the dhole habitat. We are going to come up on the secondary habitat for the urial. We saw the urial way back in part 2. But now we are going to see the secondary habitat, and I think it's the bachelor habitat, because they were playing around with their horn, and that it makes sense that the males that are not the dominant male are separated into their own herd. you see this confrontation and competition they have. It could very well, I think, be a bachelor who heard this. But yeah, moving on from the Urials, and we are coming up on the last animal on the wild animal side of the park. Then we still have another part of the park to explore, and that will be the last part of this tour, so that's the next video. But before that we will absolutely still find one animal. That animal is an absolute classic in zoos, the red panda. And it was up on a branch sleeping. But a lot of zoos have these pandas. It's actually a real panda, because this was discovered before the great panda, and they aren't actually close relative. The great panda is a bear, and this is a panda. But still they both get the name panda. And here I will leave you for this part with some more footage of the red panda sleeping.